thank you so much for being here. My name is Emanuel Petrescu. I'm the founder of How About Some Marketing. I'm an SEO and digital marketing and AI consultant. I like to help businesses make more money and get more traction from their digital channels, organic, social, paid, email, you name it. I founded How About Some Marketing sometime in 2018 with the idea of creating a hub for marketing people, for marketing savvy business owners who wanted to take the reins and do the marketing from themselves. And I wanted to be a hub that people trust to get their information. I wouldn't be much of a marketer if I wouldn't ask you to go right now to howaboutsommarketing.com and subscribe to the newsletter, because from there you'll be able to see past webinar recordings, future announcements of the upcoming events that I'm excited to present, and of course all the information that you'll need to become better at your marketing. I like to give a shout out to our partners in crime, Aspiration Marketing, Joachim, who's been in us since the beginning, Organic Growth, Kevin Carney, he's been a guest a couple of times, Toronto Marketing Hub, Pablo and Daniel, Global Center for FinTech Innovation, and of course Level Up Studio and Level Up Media. Now, without further ado, I'm gonna introduce our guest. Igor Petrov is a Toronto-based creative specialist with over 15 years of experience in television and media industry. His career began as a video editor on hit shows like The Bachelor and X Factor, and he later transitioned into directing, creating successful TV series such as the acclaimed drama Dreams. Currently, Igor is a video producer and editor at CBC, while also leading Level Up Media and Level Up Studio, his company specializing in high-end video production, content creation, and event hosting. As a senior colorist at Creative Post Inc., his color grading portfolio includes Emmy-nominated shows like The Blues Clues and Wild Kratts, as well as projects for major networks such as Netflix, CBC, Nickelodeon, Discovery, and Crave. His expertise spans producing, directing, color grading, and full-scale content creation, helping brands and artists tell compelling visual stories. And I highly encourage you to check out Igor's work at igorpetrov.com. That being said, Igor, thank you so much for accepting to be my guest.
Pleasure.
Today.
Now, let's jump straight into questions.
So, Igor,
yeah,
you worked on everything from Emmy-nominated shows to brand campaigns. What's the biggest difference that professional video production and what most businesses are doing right now?
The difference between professional production and what businesses are doing?
Yes.
I think that the line is getting blurred, right? Between what the professional people doing for TV and film production and what people doing for the brand companies. Because if you will take the top, companies, like the stuff that they're producing is pretty much on par what television used to produce before. So people are pumping into video marketing the same amount of money that they used to pump into big TV or film production. The reasons and goals of the marketing campaign and TV show is very, very different. Also because the whole industry is shifting towards lots of AI tools, also becoming much more affordable for brands. So the entry into this content creation of video marketing became much more affordable.
People shouldn't be afraid of video.
I think people are already not afraid of the video. I think by what we see from TikTok and Instagram Reels, I think pitch for people to not be afraid of video is kind of redundant because people already know that they have to do video. So
fair enough. So do you think that many businesses, even big ones, at the moment struggle with creating video and getting the video thing right?
Sometimes people don't understand it and just don't have experience with it. And quite often what happens if people don't have decent marketing budget, they just can't hire the production company or production specialist or videographer for them produce for something for their company. So what they have to do, they have to produce it internally, or they have to like dedicate someone within the company, and he will be a dedicated videographer, whether he has skills or not. So that is up to the individual companies. But in majority of cases, I would say that if you don't have a strong person to dedicate and be video producer within your company, I think even if it's out of your budget currently, that will be should be your goal, to find a production company or like individual videographers who can do it for you, because right now digital is where you're supposed to be, because that's where you're gonna sell.
You tap on that, but I'm gonna ask my question anyway. So if someone has no team, no budget, just their phone, what's the smartest first step they can take to create better content, better video content?
You can do a lot of damage with your phone. I feel like you don't need these days, because technology barrier became so affordable. So you don't have to start with fancy camera or like fancy lights in production. It's just, you sort of graduate to that level. But we see so much influencers, content creators getting great success with just shooting on their phones. So it's more so it's the content, the substance of it that really matters. It's not how we shoot it. And sometimes people kind of like start exploring and they start buying into, gear acquisition syndrome and stuff like that when they trying to get stuff because they think that's what's going to make their videos better. They very wrong, because it's the content's going to make the video better. So it's how you telling the stories, and what are you talking about, how are you presenting your business, how are you presenting yourself, because there's many avenues that you can explore, especially in video for marketing. Is it just entertainment content? Is it promo video? Is it advertisement? Is it promoting your business? Is it this direct sales pitch? Is it going to be attached to the PDF? Is it going to be attached to a landing page? Is it converting something? There's many things that you have to answer before you produce, because it has to be engaging on the phone. So even you just sitting with your phone and you're talking to the phone and you want to pitch something to people in a short, concise time, you will have a reel or TikTok. It's 30 seconds. And if you cannot deliver that information within 30 seconds in a compelling, engaging way, you can add lights, you can add better mics, you can add whatever, buy a camera that costs $10,000. It's not going to improve it in any way. It's your delivery that's the problem. So you should improve on that, I would say.
When I said people are afraid of videos, that's what I was referring to. Like they can get intimidated. People don't see online, but our setup here can be a little bit intimidated, right? We got a couple of cameras, a couple of.
It's just example. Well, because I do it this is my 20th year of working in TV production specifically. Therefore, I just have it by default because this is my bread, this is my business, right? So this is what I do for other people. But it doesn't mean that if you're starting video production company, you should acquire all of this. But we're not talking if people are producing for themselves, and not necessarily. I said that people have to practice and like storytelling. They don't have to. They also can hire someone who can be a face of your company. Someone in marketing can be again dedicated to be the person who speaks better. So you just choose the one who had the person who has the most presentable delivery, and that will be your dedicated spokesperson. If you want to do that, there's also right now that many AI tools that generate voice, and sometimes people don't understand how to utilize them in a way that you still have to know the storytelling, and you still have to be proficient with delivering the information to even use those tools. So it's the same way that people are saying, the copywriters are dead because, ChatGPT came. Copywriters are dead, truly. But if you want to write a compelling copy, even that if ChatGPT is writing, you become an editor of ChatGPT, right? So he writes something to you, you're like, okay, this is wrong, rewrite it. So same goes for writing voiceover. If you don't have a budget and you decide I'm going to do a promo video for my company, but I'm going to use a voice generator, and then I'm going to find some B-roll on stocks. So you can do that. But the thing is, you have to know what you want to get from the VO that you're going to use. So it will generate voice for you, right? But you have to like rewrite it until the copy is really good. And then maybe you're doing A, B, C versions of the same video. if you're using Meta or like Google Ads, you run like ABC campaigns and you see which one is like falling off, and then you kill those, and then you do version. So you can do it. You don't have to speak in the camera. It's always more presentable if the owner, CEO, or someone spokesperson from a company speaks directly to people. It's always better. But is it necessarily necessary in our age? No. There's a lot of AI tools that you can also use if you're starting. But again, if you want to build some sort of a public image, so you want PR for your company and stuff like that, of course you should have someone who's a face of your company. And I hope that answers your question.
And then it only generated a couple of more questions, but God knows, we've seen some big brands putting in a lot of budget towards influencers that shoot videos with their phones and all those things. So where I wanted to go is don't be afraid to actually start doing stuff, and don't think that you need probably all the things that you think you need.
No, you don't need again practice delivery, practice storytelling. That is pretty much free. And because we all have phones right now, and phones shoot 4K and like high quality audio, and like you can get a lav for probably $30 on Amazon. So it became very, very accessible to be on camera, and it became very accessible to promote your content online. So you no longer need all the fancy bells and whistles.
Well, can you walk us through a campaign where video made a measurable difference for a brand or organizations? And I'm thinking right here, maybe somebody smaller that be doing videos, completely change the paradigm they were operating.
Oh yeah, tons. That's like the whole point when you have a production company, that it works for people. But one of the good examples would be, I have a now friend, this guy who approached me, his name was Fraser, and he has this company called Tax Mechanic, and he's like, so he has about like 10 tax accountants who do taxes for people, and medium to small and sometimes large businesses, right? So he had the struggle with like digital marketing, and so he came to me and we started the whole campaign. We're like, okay, he's in his 70s. So and basically what happened is like, I talked to him, what's your goal? He's like, I want to generate more leads for taxes in a season. And basically what I told, let's do TikTok. And he was like, well, it's kind of like, I'm kind of past to TikTok. But I was like, no, you don't understand. There's a lot of people on TikTok. And because it shifted, right? Like Facebook is now probably skews like 60 plus, Instagram probably it's like 30, 40 plus. Probably this year it's like 40 plus. And then TikTok now is 30 plus, right? So kind of prime audience for doing their taxes, first taxes or like ongoing taxes. And basically what we started doing, we started having campaign for him when we would make almost daily videos. Like we would post sometimes 2 videos a day on TikTok, and everything that he will do what's natural and organic to him. So he's a tax accountant, he will talk about taxes on TikTok, and people love that. We have many videos that were 600,000 million views, because actually people would want to learn. And we did the videos with, for example, it would be like topic would be like, is it deductible? And it would be like, and people will ask is like, what if I buy a Lambo, is it deductible? And he's like, well, if you're gonna shoot the music video and that Lambo, you're gonna total it for like a crash or whatever, then it's tax deductible. So it really depends. So we would go through like different interesting topics. And plus, one of the interesting thing that we did, I made him wear Leafs jerseys.
Okay.
And that generated so much, because it's unrelated. He's not even acknowledging that he's wearing Leafs jersey. But in the comments, especially on Meta, on Facebook, we would have people fighting that people will get so much free publicity, because people will be like, I will never trust an accountant who wears Leafs jersey. And the other people will be like, I will only trust the accountant who wears Leafs jersey.
Engagement, basically.
Yeah, we got so much free engagement. So basically every post we will get like 600 to 800 comments for free.
Definitely, tax. It's a very interesting topic, right? That everybody's hype about.
Yeah, but also he didn't believe. He was like, well, he's older and it's like taxes. He's like, well, is it a place like TikTok? Is it a place for a person like me? And I was like, listen, well, it's a place. If you want to sell a product, you want to go where the people are, and the people right now is on TikTok, right?
And more goes without saying that it generated a lot of business for him.
Oh yeah. We at some point we have to kind of cut it out, especially on Meta, because he was like, I'm getting too much leads, I cannot process them, and that can be dangerous for. I mean, that's a good thing as a business to have too much leads that you can't really process, but it's actually damages your brand image. I think people should realize that as well when they trying to generate campaigns, especially the high volume campaigns on Meta or Google, and they like, oh, I'm gonna pump, $5,000 a day into like Meta ads. You can generate so much lead that you can't physically process because you have to get back to people. Because if people will hang out in DMs and like on Red, like that's actually damages your brand very much.
And one of the things that I'm happy that Igor brought this example right now, because I'm a consultant as well. I talk to a lot of people, and especially my background is in SEO, search engine optimization. There's a lot of literature out there that is saying, you can do it by yourself, including videos. I'm pretty sure that you have this conversation a lot with your clients, but I want to reinforce the importance of working with a consultant and working with a professional, in this case, video, to actually be able to generate the results that you need to generate for your business using video. For people watching who feel camera shy, any tips to show up on video without feeling that they're faking it?
Well, I think practice, right? Practice, you just practice. The more you do it, the better you will be at it, right? They say that it takes to master something, it takes what, 5,000, 4,000 hours or whatever.
10,000, I think.
10,000 hours? Okay, it's going up. So yeah, if it takes 10,000 hours, you got better start putting those hours in. That's why actors practice at the mirror, right? You go and you practice in the mirror. Oh, but in this day and age, you have phones, right? So you just record yourself and then you review it, you watch your video and you're like, what can I improve? How can I be better at this? But yet again, it's just people who starting in and they want to create content for their business to promote and sell their business. We're living in a great time of like AI tools, right? Like you have AI generated voice, you can have like a little bit, just wait a little bit and we're going to be able to generate faces that are great for video needs. It's interesting to say even this, but because in a way it's not really going away, it's just transforming. It's also then speaks to the trust issues that people have. Is it a real person talking? Is it a real voice? So if you want to promote brand value and the quality of your business, you should be real. Like you should see a real person talking. You should feel that, because that's the quality of a business. If you provide a premium service, it should feel like a premium thing, not generated by AI. I know it's also like, I think it's really good for volume and like it allows people to access the tools right now, but you should graduate. If you provide a premium service, you should graduate to real sort of type of content. Yet again, don't get discouraged if you have, for example, if you sell something high volume, like Fraser, he wasn't selling really, like his service wasn't super high volume because they only could handle so much. But what if you do something that costs around few dollars, right? And you sell it on Amazon. So you have potential high volume. You sell napkins or whatever, or like pens. So then, does it matter if the person who's promoting the product is real in that case? If you're promoting the really cheap product on volume, on scale, it's just what you have to talk about then is features and quality. So you talk about the product, features and quality, you produce, 50 different variations of ad, A, B, C, and you just run those and you'll get great success. It just depends. But then yet again, if your product craftsman watches assembled by hand, and your promo video for that is AI voice, I think you're gonna fail really quickly.
Definitely, and it's a sweet spot right now that brands and businesses, bigger or smaller, need to figure out. What's one mistake you wish brands would stop making when it comes to video marketing.
Brands decided that they want to be influencers themselves. Like there was a popular craze when like Ryanair and the other ones were like doing jokes and cracking like, and they even had this sort of almost meta conversations when when one brand will basically go into comment section of the other brand, and they will be like either upping them or whatever. Like we had this there was a Wild West sort of period when brands hired really young social media managers, and they started like in a weird way they started being like buddies and like people, but and then Wendy's was guilty for that. But is that really what we want from brands, to be our buddies? And I don't think so. I think that was a kind of the wrong path, because it's like you provide a product, like you're not really a buddy and the friend. So I feel they were guilty kind of in that playing too close to the influencers. And also one big mistake sometimes that brands do is that they use influencer marketing. They rely too much on it, because they think the audience of influencer is their audience, and quite often it's not. So they're pumping so much money into marketing, influencer marketing, and they expect like amazing results. They expect, oh, okay, so he has 1 million followers. That means if I'm gonna promote my cream or whatever with him, I'm gonna get like percentage of his audience gonna subscribe to my channel. That's not how it works. They're following him for him, not, if you're going to put ad with him there, they're not going to convert into your audience, right?
That's why it's important to partner up with an agency or somebody who actually does the research and can actually help you find the right influencer for your product or service that you are offering. Because you mentioned AI generated content, it's going fast. How small brands can stay authentic and competitive using video in the paradigm of AI?
So I think it's going back to that original question that I was telling you about. Basically, that because we have so much access to different tools and different things that you can use. So you can basically create AI voice, you create avatar, you can generate pretty much a lot of even Sora and tools that we have. It generates pretty good video, mostly abstract things like wide shots of the cityscapes, or maybe like good drone shots, some product details. Like it struggles with very, very specific things. Is if your product or your service is very specific and you want Sora to generate video of your particular product, you will have a lot of trouble with that. So that's when you will still resort to basically hiring media marketing or video agency to shoot your specific product. But just because we have access to those tools right now, you should kind of utilize it, because I feel it saves you a lot of money, it saves you a lot of pain, it saves you a lot of headache actually going and creating all that content. But the key, I think, in the combination, if you doing same as in case of copywriters, when copywriters didn't really die, they just became sort of like a prompt operators for ChatGPT. So you have to review. You cannot take at face value whatever the AI network spews back at you. You kind of have to go back and refine it. But to refine it, you actually have to be a specialist in that field, right? What if I want to, with Sora, I want to recreate period drama from 1960s or whatever. And if I'm not an expert in 1960s myself, I will have very bad result, because I wouldn't have any way of checking if Sora actually gave me an accurate period costumes, right? So that goes to whatever field you are working with. So you're an expert in oil refinement, right? And you want a commercial that promotes your business. So if you would go to ChatGPT and ask him to write you a commercial about oil refinement business, if you not an expert in the field, how would you know it's correct, right? So having the tools like ChatGPT or like Sora, it doesn't mean that you have to be absolutely dumb, and like you actually have to understand what are you requesting, and actually you become the expert, not ChatGPT. Like you have to tell it just ChatGPT alleviates like the most painful part, which is staring at the empty page and like doing how you're going to start, right? So it just kind of gets you there. But it's still up to you to evaluate the content and say, well, this is not accurate, or this is not how this business works, right? So you have to nudge it. So you continuously have to like improve. So you're becoming from, in the case of copywriters, instead of copywriter, you become prompt writer, and that's the field you are in. So I think the tools are amazing. We should use them. And I think if you will become a purist of like video production and you will say that I'm never going to use those tools, you will quickly become just old school, and you will get pushed out from the market. But because this is the nature of the game. Like the nature of the game when I started, it used to be you buy $50,000 at least of equipment, and that was your specialty, right? It used to be that when I was starting like 20 years ago and I was working on TV production, one of the first show was Bachelor, and at the time I started working on a linear. So as an editor, there was no non-linear editing. It was just switching at the time. So there was already non-linear editing. There was like Final Cut version 1, Final Cut version 2. There was also Avid emerging, but the nature of television was linear. So basically, you had the Betacam, you had DVC Pro tapes. You would shoot on a tape. You will watch your tape, and you will get an empty tape, and that will be your master, right? So you put an empty tape, and then he will scroll through the tapes full with footage with all the cameras, and you will record little pieces from those on the empty tape, and that was editing, right? So that's why it's called non-linear linear editing, because you linearly doing it. If I messed up, I would have to watch the tape in the beginning. If I messed up in the beginning and I want to extend the duration of the shot, I would have to re-record the whole tape. That was the only way of doing it. So when non-linear editing came in the form of like Final Cut and Avid, it was a groundbreaking thing. People were like, "Oh my God, now I can like move the audio files and do this so much faster." But there was such a pushback among like old school editors who were like, "Well, we're never going to do this. This is never going to stick." But they used to say that about the color in film and the sound in film. They was like, "Who wants sound in film? Like this is crazy, right?" So same goes with all the new technology. Like it gets pushed off, but also it democratizes the industry, right? Because it used to be so expensive. Because linear machine, like we had the Tascams, like massive editing stations, and they would cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars. I remember, even Creative Post, post house that I was working with, they used to charge you, sometimes $1,000 per hour for you to book the editing suite and just edit, like. Now you can just grab, you have MacBook or whatever, and you're editing there in Final Cut on the go. And even you take it one step further. Now you have your iPhone, your Android, and you actually have a CapCut. And that CapCut does exactly the same thing that our professional software used to do, which cost, millions of dollars. And now you take it one step further. Now you don't have to edit. Now AI edits for you. So, as long as you expert and you can say that this is not right. If you want specific, if you have a vision, because one thing that I think those tools will not going to give you is the vision. If you want clear results, right, you have to be very articulate about what you want and actually have some sort of tools to test if any of that stuff that they're pumping up going to work for you and even represents you or your business accurately.
I have a music production background, so in music it was similarly with the tapes. You actually cut it with the razor blade and all that, and stitch them together. So this is how it was made. So a question from Joanna. Igor mentioned earlier that the content or substance is the most critical factor. Where can you find inspiration for content ideas, and how do you ensure the content is relevant to your audience? Excellent question. Thank you for that, Joanna.
I always find that it's similar to filmmaking or any storytelling or book writing. When you talk about what you know, like you don't talk about, quite often people want to be so relevant. They want to be so in the mainstream of things happening, whatever. They try to talk about things that they have no expertise in or they have no experience with. Like, how would you write a book about something you never experienced about? Like, you would be writing, like, it just doesn't make sense. I feel people should stay close to their interests, their hobbies, and talk about, what they actually experienced, what they know. If you're struggling with ideas for to promote your business in video marketing, I think you should talk about what interests you. If you into, like, naturally your business will be in the field that interests you, right? If you have a carpentry shop, and it would be weird if you're gonna start doing, content about shipbuilding or whatever, like something just, or like, I don't know, AIs. Like, unless it's really your hobby on the side, it really interests you. But it's always very obvious if you providing certain service that you should be an expert in the service that you're providing, and you should talk more about that. And it's always boils down to one thing that I don't really like, because I like to do a lot of different things, but it's specialization. It's unfortunately the social media or digital marketing works right now in a way that it's so much easier to promote yourself in a niche, as opposed to trying to cast like this wide net and like attract everyone. So it's like the more specialized you are, the cheaper the marketing becomes. Again, maybe unfortunately or not, the slimmer the niche and the more specific it is, that so much easier to market, so cheaper to target and find that audience. It creates kind of pitfall for people who are like influencers who are doing this, because for companies it's pretty straightforward. You just do that. Because that's a product you sell. But if you more so, for example, if you're a public speaker, if you're an influencer, if you're a blogger, a vlogger, unfortunately, you have to pick very specific niche and just continuously do that. If you will go to top TikTokers and you will scroll through the feed, it will be exactly same video. It will be exactly same video. And that's the nature of a game. Because as soon as they will start introducing variety, they will see their numbers going down, their audience is going down. Unfortunately, the nature of the game right now, that if you're, public personality and you want to build a strong following, you kind of have to pick this one specific niche and stick to it, and then continuously produce that kind of content for that category. Or it's only a few very successful people as influencers or as celebrities can afford to rediscover themselves and say, I was doing rock all my life, now I'm going to start doing, country. And, and they see half of their audience just like, bye.
I believe that answered the question. And to also
so.
On top of that, and speaking of AI, the algorithm kind of like push you towards creating the same type of content in order to
unfortunately.
May I ask one?
Of course.
We do a lot of work in the beauty industry. It's interesting you mentioned that just now, because the beauty influencers, would you do to really contemporize and update video for the beauty industry? Something like really radical that would stand out.
The beauty industry.
Repeat
I should repeat the question because I didn't hear the question.
I don't think. Yeah.
So I think the question was, how can you have a contemporary version of?
How would you disrupt?
So basically, the question was how you rejuvenate video marketing or content marketing for beauty brands, right? And I feel that something happens when category has a lot of success. It's just trending up and up and up and growing and growing. That's what happened with beauty industry. There's so many beauty influencers, and the beauty category even on YouTube is like one of the biggest one. There's huge following. There's big names. There's so much. I think it's also what happens when it was trending for so long and there's so much content around it. I think people got tired and exhausted, and there's so many products. And because quite often, if you go now to biggest, beauty influencers like Tati or like some of the, and you would see what happens is their audience is a little exhausted because they promote like ungodly amount of products. Like there's a really famous Japanese influencer that she gives I think 5 seconds to the product. She literally sits, her 5 seconds cost like, yeah, $1 million or something like crazy. And all that she does, she's on stream. She just shows like, this is the t-shirt, and she just throws it away. And she unpacks, here's the eyelash, whatever extension, and she just throws it away. She gives it 5 seconds, but those 5 seconds cost, maybe 10 grand. Because there's, like 50 million people watching her live or something like that. And, the commodification of it, like it's almost a game for people like that. It's almost like the fact that she's doing it becomes the entertainment. Like no one's really interested in the product. That's just, for the sake of the entertainment. But I feel that it's always finding the influencer in a niche, like so for example, if you have and really building like a good rapport with them. So don't go to the top 5 influencers that have 200 million followers each, because they wouldn't give enough attention to your product. They probably wouldn't even try it, like, so you go to the small, like I would say something that will rejuvenate the beauty industry is a authentic connection, and like something that people immediately pick up is authenticity. And I feel like giving the light to small influencers or people who are growing up, or even like moms and stuff. What if you'd make a product, you have a beauty product and it's for moms, or like it's for maybe like boys who want to look good, or like in school or something very specific or whatever. And maybe there's a school influencer who's like for teens and something like this. So you would go for someone authentic, someone who has like 60,000, 100,000, not millions of followers, and try to build sort of like a rapport with him, like give him a product. Give him a bunch of product to try. If he really likes it, don't pressure him. Like I really like to recently watch. There's a lot of YouTubers that they clearly state that this was sent to us, especially in category of like equipment and gear. This is very popular for brands like Sony, Panasonic, to send the product to an influencer they really like and be like, no strings attached. You can just totally destroy it if you want to. Like, that's how we improve, because then the next one will be iteration on it. So if you approach it in that way that you iterate on your product, this is not end all be all product. You made like, palette, and you think this includes all the possible colors and this stays forever on you, whatever. I think if you iterate on your product, you made, eyelash extension, and you make them try, and also you're not afraid for them to rip it apart in a way, because then you will be like, because then your comeback really matters. So it becomes a conversation. Because if you go to influencer, you're going to be like, you're not going to say anything bad about this product. We're going to pay you. You're going to say this is the best product I ever used. But then this influencer, someone else is paid to him, and he says, this is the best product I used. So which one is the best product you ever used, But if you actually, as a brand or as a marketing department in a brand, you write to this influencer and you're like, you know what? No strings attached. We're sending you a product. Even more so, we're going to pay you. But you know what? You're going to tell how you really feel about this, what you really don't like, And I feel if you will have that kind of conversation and you're not afraid of it as a beauty brand, I think you will grow better, and you're going to build that rapport with the influencers. But again, I would say start growing almost kind of your own influencers in a way. Don't go to top ones. Just start growing your own influencers. Make someone influencer in your marketing department, and then collab with other influencers. Collab was very popular. So I feel we in an age when it's like authenticity there's a scarcity of authenticity, and I feel if you can foster that in your company, you will go far. I hope that sort of answers that.
Let's move on to another question from the virtual audience. Shuba, what advice would you have for someone wishing to start a business and are considering making a video for the very first time? What should be their first set of content?
It will really depend in what kind of industry person is, but I would say maybe if to give advice that's more general, it's something that it's wherever you're starting, it should be good. I think you should represent and stand behind your brand and your company or whatever it is. If it's something you provide a service and you are basically the face and you like accountant. If you're accountant, then I think you should be proactive. You should come more. You should build your PR is very important, like you know it, right? And building your personal brand is very important. But what if you sell socks and it's like a funky, quirky company? Then I think if you don't have any money to hire a marketing department and everything, you sort of become your own marketing department. You have to be your face of your company and you have to show up. So I feel like if you absolutely have allergy to being on camera, then you probably have to search someone and find someone who can represent, basically be a face of your brand. But I think even in the worst cases, when you have trouble speaking or like you think you look not that great, I still think you should push past it and you should create authentic content with yourself, as opposed to like going AI way and like generating something that is not authentic to your brand. Yet again, I would say like depends. If your content, again, if your product is volume and it's cheap and you can potentially sell it to everyone, it always really depends. Like whenever I'm working with companies and their product is really expensive and it's really niche, and let's say their client have to pay them $10,000 for the service, then it becomes very hard to sell digitally, like very hard. Like if your product, I think if your product even past $1,000, maybe $1,000, it depends on the product. But really, I would say if you're providing a service and it's more than $1,000, it's almost like digital marketing becomes not your main, source of revenue actually. And I would say this sort of premium, certain premium, price tag that is actually personal relationships and direct selling and sometimes phone calls work better as opposed. But if you have high volume product, cheap product, then digital marketing is amazing. But again, I had clients that will do like installations of hi-fi theater equipment, and their installation is like $150,000. Like digital marketing did nothing for us, nothing. Like we had 0 clients. Like no one watched a video and be like, I'm gonna spend $150,000 with those guys. No, like there's no video that's gonna make it. They had to go and experience it. They have to go to the showroom. There was like at least, because you also measure effectiveness of your campaigns, how many times you have how many connection points you have with your potential lead, and how many of those connection points it takes to close it. So in a cycle of something that you buy for $100,000, you're gonna probably have 10 or 20 like he will return and watch it and check it, and then he will read the long FAQ and long description and go to forums. Like he will go and research all of this stuff. Meanwhile, if you sell in something like a pen which
iPhone
costs
case.
50 or iPhone case, right? You're selling iPhone cases, right? This costs like $10, right? Like people not gonna go and like on forums and read about this. It can be an impulsive buy. So therefore, video really works for it. So it really depends on the type of product.
Excellent answer, and I hope that satisfies the question. But we have one question in the audience.
Oh yeah, here's the question.
Yeah.
How to talk less but be more effective? Is it right? Like be more
like
concise. I think it's of course it's a matter of practice, but also it's a matter of rewriting and being your own editor, and like basically, so you're your own editor, and you're. I think you should always write scripts for yourself. Like until you get really comfortable with speaking on the video, and also if you really want to spend like ungodly amount of time in editing, you should write scripts for yourself. If you're speaking,
Others not, but I
Yeah,
know
no,
it.
but what I'm saying is like if when you're producing content, you're producing it for other people. You're not producing it for yourself. If you would have produced it for yourself, you watch it on your iPhone. You don't have to show it to anyone, right? But because you always have to keep in mind the audience, to target audience of your product, how they're gonna react, and also always value people's time. Like, and when we live in an age when people have very little time, people have very small attention span, and doom scrolling is a new thing that happens to people. Therefore you have to catch the attention within the first few seconds, right away. Like we at CBC Radio Canada, what happens is we have the whole departments that researching this, and whenever we post TikToks, and we post a lot of news related TikToks, and also YouTube videos, like we had the whole seminars and the presentations about how the thumbnail gonna look, and it goes through like 50 iterations of thumbnail before we hit the one that actually makes people click on YouTube video. And there's a science behind it, and there's a science how people to react to shapes, of forms, and how we perceive things. So it's very, very important to be very to be very concise in your language. So go straight to the chase and actually hook people right away. Therefore the more but that's what I'm saying, like editing, keep policing yourself, keep editing, and keep getting to the chase. But that's why you have to write down a script. What are you planning to say? You write it down, and then listen, I write down for myself scripts all the time with ChatGPT, right? And then I will be like shorter, like make it shorter, and then you make it shorter, and you actually edit it, and you add a flair, and you add a human touch to it. But you get there. Like what if I'm promoting an event, I want to say the date and the time and what's going to happen. Yeah, so the faster you're going to say it, the better, right? And why people should watch it. There should be a hook, right? But just go straight to the chase. I feel like if you have something interesting to deliver to people and say to people, you will always find a way to trim the fat and be editor. That's what book editors, for example, do. Like you will write a book and you think, oh my God, I wrote there's so much information about this topic, but they will read through it, and they will go with a black marker in the first draft, and they will just go over the pages, be like, this is about nothing, this is nothing, this means nothing, this is a filler, this is the filler, this is the parasite word, this is the like you do the same for you be your own editor. You go and you wrote a script how you would speak naturally, or you record yourself and you write down what you record, or make ChatGPT give you like a summary of what you just said, and you will like, whoa, I shouldn't, like I meandered for like 5 minutes about something unrelated to the topic. Like people came here because they want to, like, if you promote emotional support to people, or you're like psychologist, and you're going to be like, I'm going to help you be on a path of being best version of yourself, or how to deal with depression. Like, so yeah, talk about that, talk about depression. They came here to listen about depression. Like if you will go meander about something else, like they're going to leave, right? So we live in a time when attention span is very short. So police yourself, and edit yourself.
When I started making videos, I was under the impression that it should take me like 5 minutes to record and edit a 30-second video. But as we discussed in previous webinars at the beginning, I don't like to use the word "you will suck," but you need to get better by doing more. So I highly recommend people to start doing it and follow Igor.
I still suck at it. I'm not good at I'm behind the camera. I'm the guy who you call and I produce for you. I'm not supposed to be in front of a camera. My business is make you look good. Like I make you look good. I make your content look good. I make your videos look good. I know how to tell the stories. That's what I study. I have a master's in film directing. I have a bachelor in cinematography, and that's my goal. And here in Canada, I studied advertising, marketing, communication. So it's like all my life, I was like, I'm supposed to be behind the camera. But the nature of the game right now is that I had to do this. I have to do content. I have to make, because that's why I got my clients, right? They have to perceive me as I'm an expert, but you have to create that, or it wouldn't just naturally come out of it, or at least you wouldn't get enough clients that you can sustain your company. And like I have a media company, and we produce for brands and businesses. And at some point you reach a point that is like, oh, it's the word of mouth is not enough. Like you're not generating enough revenue to pay salaries to people, to pay for the DP, cinematographer or editor, because you have to have it on scale, right? So what happens is that even though I'm like in video production business, in behind the scenes business, in the producing business, but people make a decision based on if they want to work with you personally, right? Because it's a very important thing when you provide services to people is the experience. And if people are happy or they not happy or they sad about it, so your your personal image, your personal brand, what sells actually, quite like you would know, right, Emanuel? Well,
Authenticity, that's the keyword here. And even in SEO, there's this thing called EAT, expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, where it's an abstract metric that Google looks at when they choose to show one result as opposed to the other, right? Who's speaking about, let's say, some medical article, right? Is it written by somebody who's actually experienced in it, or by, a random individual, or maybe no author, and so forth? So authenticity, experience, and all these things.
So I wanted to find out how you do return on investment, especially immediate, short-term, and long-term.
If you high volume and low cost of the product, you can sometimes allocate 50% of your whole revenue to just generating those sales on like Meta or like Facebook or Instagram, etc. When you resource constrained, and you quite often are resource constrained, you would say, what is the cheapest, most effective type of marketing that I can do? And at the end, that will be Meta, because Meta is the cheapest of the cheaps. And because you create a Meta cabinet and you can promote across all the platforms at Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, and because the leads there and views there are really, really cheap, and you really can do them on high volume. Like you can have results with as a teacher, as a tutor, that you with basically spending $5 to $10 a day.
But fortunately, and this is scary, Meta knows better than anyone who your target audience is. So that's another reason why we should go on Meta as opposed to other channel.
Yeah, they have very powerful smart tools for like picking your audience, and and right now, because there's so much on the back end, so many like AI models that predict the audience and what people like, and because Meta for like years and decades now been collecting all of this extra information about sports and interest of people, and like also scanning their feeds, what they really like, what they really deeply connect with. Like they have Advantage Plus audience. This is like super effective on Meta ads. Like whenever you're putting like I quite often just put it like when I don't want to put too much time in like researching the target audience and whatever of the product, I put Advantage Plus, and I'm like, it always gives pretty good results. But listen, if you have no budget, and no budget would be like a couple dozen bucks, I don't know, like $50 a month, you still can do some quite a bit of damage on the Meta side of like running ads. And again, and sometimes, for example, if you're tutoring, sometimes your video would be like, hey, I'm this, and I'm offering, my services in tutoring, teaching you how to be, smarter with your financials and everything. You should check it. I help X amount of people, and I'm going to help you. And that's your video. And you just post that, and it's very sincere. It's very direct. It's straight to the camera, and people find that compelling as well. So yeah, you don't need overly produced videos. Sometimes it's it actually pushes people back when your video is too crazy, like for the product that you're providing. It's like over the top, like amazing, and they like, whoa, I probably can't afford. I had those cases when people, when they were selling like a cheaper sort of service, when they were like, well, this is too much, they like, people stopped messaging us because now they like, we can't afford this. Like this looks
Where do you see brand video going in the next 1 or 2 years? Where do you see video going, especially for brands? And what should businesses be preparing for? 1 to 2 years, short term.
I think it's not going to be a surprise. It's moving in direction of AI and AI generated content. It's on top of it, there's a lot of work happening right now throughout like European Union, with the Consumer Privacy Acts and everything, all of that you should have some sort of guardrails and understanding when you are dealing with AI generated content. So that's in the works. That probably some legislations are coming, but the nature of the thing, if there's anything to be automated, like company owners will automate it just because if there's somewhere to save money, and there used to be departments of people who were sitting and doing spreadsheets, and now we don't need that, right? Like we don't need to have 50 people sitting on a big floor and doing spreadsheets in Excel. So therefore, whatever possible to automate is going to be automated. And the nature of the things that a lot of things that I do is going to get automated. So like I do color correction for. I was doing color correction for like longest time, and it used to be very premium, industry premium profession. If you would wanted to color correct a documentary film, which is 1 hour length, you would pay $20,000 to $50,000 to the post house just to color correct it. That's it, and it takes about a week to color correct it. And what happens now, there's so many tools even within the editing software that exists, because they keep adding AI tools, right, that do color corrections. It almost does it automatically, and it's not there yet. It's not that good yet, but it's slowly there. I give it a year or maybe a year and a half, and it's going to be there, because the 90% of my job as a colorist is matching the shots to each other, making them smooth. If you're watching a film and this shot would have been blue and the next one was orange in the same location, you would be like, there's something off. It takes you off the story, right? So you want a smooth experience. If the whole scene is in sort of a shady situation, you want to have the same warmth, the same white balance, and 90% of my job is just matching it. So at first I go through the whole film and I match it and it looks the same, and then I go another path and I create a look which is like your grade on top of it. So that's gonna get automated. I think editing's going to get automated soon. There's already quite a few AI tools that, for example, if you shot a podcast, that will allow you to get snippets from the podcast, and it's pretty good. We'll add, titles and everything. So I think that's where it's going. It just, one thing you can't learn with AI is taste. I don't think people can learn taste. And taste is very ephemeral and interesting thing, because I work with a lot of different creative industry professionals, and would happen the person who knows the best kind of people you would work with would be people who sparingly use tools. Like they would know everything. Like he would be a sound mixer and he will work in Pro Tools, and he would know every single effect that's possible in Pro Tools. But when you will give him a project to mix, he will use like 3 out of the billion, right? But then you will come to the guy and he will use every single tool in his, like you will go and someone who's a retouching specialist for Photoshop, and he will use every single tool in Photoshop to retouch that. It will be a nightmare. It will be horrible. The fact that you skilled and you know all the tools, this doesn't make you a professional. It's just sometimes the things that the fact that you can restrain and not use everything in your that's what I call taste. It's the line between tacky and over the top and tasteful and classy is very thin. It's so easy to cross it back and forth, and therefore I feel like with all those tools like ChatGPT not gonna make you classy.
I do want to say special thank you to our host today, which is again Igor and Level Up Studio. I just want you to take just 1 minute to let people know where they can find you, where they can see your work, talk about Level Up Media Studio and all those things, and what type of services you can help them enhance their business.
Well, it's easy. You can find us at Level Up Studios Toronto if you Google that, and Level Up Media Inc. That's basically my production company. So I offer production, content creation, podcast, anything video, and same goes for studio space. It's video content creation. Plus, you can rent it for events, parties, or product launches. And yeah, we have variety of cameras, equipment. If you want like live stream, something like we're doing right now, that's all possible. And so I think that's
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I do see a comment from Kevin. We're going to add it. Also, I once listened to an interview with a graphic designer who saw someone else create the Target logo 40 or 50 years ago. And it's just what Igor spoke of just now. Everyone in the business said, WTF. Yet today is one of the most recognized logos we see. And that's true.
I think you're diluting your brand message and your brand image. I think brands should be brands, and influencers should be influencers. And if you start crossing the line between being buddy, you open yourself for a lot of lawsuits. In a lot of cases, then it's like, oh, was it? You know what? Like maybe because I work in such a strict environment at CBC Radio Canada, when everything goes to journalistic practices, and like there's certain things that we can say, there's certain things we can say. I see it also through a lens of corporate lens, and when you starting being when you have that kind of representative, that's your social media manager who writes those posts, right? And they cross the line. What if Ryanair was saying like that, laughing like that, and the plane crashed, and the same day they did the post? And who would be liable in this case? Would you say it would be Ryanair corporation liable, or that social media manager? I think, and like the law would think that the corporation would be liable in this. That's why I think there's this fine line between what's possible for corporations and what they can say and how they can treat their clients and behave. And when they start crossing that line back and forth, and they blurring it, they opening themselves to a lot of scrutiny. Therefore, that's why I think that's why I was saying that corporations should say corporations, and they shouldn't resort to being our buddies or like people who try to entertain us. But for you, it's fun. For privacy compliance officer of that company, it's a nightmare. So it's like you have to understand the repercussions of things that you do. There's certain things that out of place or maybe can lead to big trouble. There was a big case like in film production when just before 9/11 happens, there was a big film about the similar sort of terroristic attack in New York. And they were shooting it for like productions usually take a long time. The production period for film, can take a year or more. Pre-production takes 3 years, sometimes 5 years, and it's millions of dollars, right? And so everything was shot. It was in post, right? So they were just doing, color correction. They were doing composing, editing as 9/11 happens, and that film was shelved, and it was $250 million that just burned right there, right? Because it was. There's no way they could have released this absolutely out of touch movie, even if they rebranded it somehow and they said this is not New York, this is Boston or whatever. It was just impossible, right? So you're putting yourself. So that's why it's just beyond memes and jokes and like being buddy and friendly with people. There's the real repercussions when there's because you represent 5,000 10,000 employees of that corporation and company, so it's like I think it's very like some companies doing it classy, and they know what they're doing. Sometimes they just giving too much agency to social media manager, and they just go haywire and they just reply impulsively like that, but that opens them to a lot of scrutiny.
Personally, I like when Burger King trolls McDonald's or Pepsi, Coca-Cola, right? But they can afford it, so to say. And to that point, maybe small businesses are a little bit more flexible when it when it comes to this type of content. Thank you so much, Igor, for having
Pleasure.
us,
Thank you.
everyone here.
Thank you.
My name is Emanuel, founder of How About Marketing, and again, howaboutsmarketing.com. That's where you can subscribe to the newsletter, stay up to date with the latest news, and we have a lot to announce. We're growing as a team as well. I'm happy to share that with you. And of course, you'll find today's recording, past recordings, and future webinar podcast recordings that we will host. That being said, thank you so much. Have a pleasant evening. See you next time.